We're gonna learn about bears today. Interesting.
Yeah, I love it.
Bears. Bears are cool. Right, so we did the
Yeah.
rodents quiz. Let's jump straight into some interesting bear facts. They belong to the order Carnivora.
All the carnivora. Yeah, weird name.
As the carnivores. The same order. Is it not the same order as dogs?
Mm.
Carnivores. Yeah. But they're in a different family. Their family is the Ursidae. Right? So if you see anything that starts with the letters U, R, S, A, Ursa, that means bears. Okay. See that in like star constellations or something else, but Ursa means bears. Right? There are only 8 species of bears in existence. Only 8. Remember when we learned about bats? How many species of bats were there? 1,100. Like
Uh,
over 1,000 species of bats. Well, there's only 8 species of bears in existence today, and they are found mainly in North America, South America, and Asia. There is no more bears alive in Africa. There used to be some brown bears in the Atlas Mountains of North America, but they're no longer there. Right? They're extinct in Africa, so we have no bears in Africa, unfortunately. Now,
oh, come
they
on.
are very much omnivores in general. They eat
Mm.
plants and meat, except for some of them. Some of them are
Um,
almost completely carnivores or almost
um,
completely herbivores. You have a question, Kaden?
yeah,
How do people test the eyesight of bears? So right now it says they can see in full color. How do they test that?
It's a good question, actually. Well, what they can do, instead of testing the bear's eyesight, they can take a bear's eye and examine it, like under a microscope, like a dead bear, right? Their eyes,
see.
most of them, for most of the species of bears, their eyes are very similar to ours. Remember the other day we spoke about animals that can see in different colors. Dogs cannot see all the colors that we can because in their eyes, the cells that pick up color is only 2 kinds in dogs. But in humans and most bears, we have 3 kinds of color sensitive cells called cones. So we'll get the red, green, and the blue, which means we can see the entire spectrum of color. In
Yeah, like a star.
dogs, only
See.
2, and they can see red and blue, but not really the greens. Okay, so their vision is pretty much grayish. They don't really see color. But bears, some of
Like
the
the olden,
fruit,
like the olden days. It's
Yeah, that's
exactly like
very cool.
oh, so guys, some bears eat fruit, and you know that if you're looking at a banana, are you going to eat a yellow one or are you going to eat a green one?
Yellow one.
Definitely
yellow one.
Green one.
no, get
Purple,
the yellow one because it's so
yellow.
The
much fun.
green one is not ripe. The green one's not ripe yet.
Exactly. Okay. The green one's not ripe yet. So bears need to be able to see fruit, whether it's ripe or not. Okay. So this is why
Yeah,
most bears will have
That's super
color.
cool.
Yeah, very cool.
and
Okay. Next. Pandas, of course, what do they eat? They're mostly herbivores. What do pandas eat?
plants. They eat uh,
Plants, plants.
bamboo. They eat.
Bamboo, right? Pandas live in the bamboo forest and they eat bamboo. That's all they eat, basically. They're 99.9% herbivores. So they are herbivores. Polar bears live in the frozen Arctic. Are there
They eat
plants
meat.
growing there? Not really.
No, they
Nice.
only meat. They only meat like seals and fish.
Exactly.
Most fish.
Only seals. Yeah. Okay. Many bears, especially those that live in cold areas, they hibernate, right? They hibernate. They sleep through the cold months, not because they can't handle the cold, because bears have got lots of shaggy fur, it keeps them warm. Often they've got lots of fat as well, which keeps them warm. Why do you think bears would hibernate, even if they can handle the cold?
Nothing
To eat.
there's nothing to eat,
They
right? So
have to
they
get up summer, then they go when it goes to winter, then they hibernate. Now I get it.
so if they don't have any food to eat, they can't afford to expend a lot of energy, and staying warm takes a lot of energy.
Yeah,
So they
because
will
they
actually go
they're
and
gonna
sleep.
survive.
They'll
They're gonna
slow down their bodies. Okay,
don't eat them. They're food soon enough. They're gonna go extinct.
okay. Joshua, can I ask you that if I'm talking that you don't talk, okay? Just
Okay.
like then no one can hear anything. All right. Okay, so bears will hibernate when there's no food for them. Okay, so because they can handle the cold, but they will hibernate when there's no food. So they slow down their heartbeat, they slow down their muscles, they climb into a cave and they go to sleep basically. And they use almost no energy. But then when they wake up, when the weather starts getting warmer, when the snow's all melting and there's food for them again, they're going to be pretty skinny. So that they're definitely going to need to go and eat then. So they wake up and then they eat all summer long. Yes, do you have a question, Jordan?
Did you know that brown bears, some bears can actually don't sleep through winter. They just stay in their cave throughout winter.
What do you think in their cave? Playing video games?
No,
No.
just
But
wait until
yeah,
winter's over.
hibernation isn't necessarily sleeping the whole time, but it's like doing nothing. Okay, it's basically being dormant, which means they're not active. All right. Three more fun facts about bears on this screen here. They have no whiskers. Isn't that weird? You'd think like they're
I
mammals,
knew
they're
that.
like dogs. They don't actually have whiskers. Remember what whiskers are for? It's for their sense of touch. So some bears are nocturnal, some bears are diurnal, they're active during the day, but they're not small, they don't need to go through tight spaces. So they don't need that very sensitive sense of touch around their faces, like cats, dogs, mice, and rats. They have the best sense of smell out of any mammal. Isn't that amazing? Even more sensitive than dogs.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, think about it. They live in a forest. They live where there's maybe snow and ice. They live in mountains. Their food is maybe not very abundant. Let's say they like to eat berries. They're not going to expend lots of energy roaming the entire forest looking for berries. What do? They sniff the air and they catch the smell of those berries and then they walk in the direction until they find their food. Right, so it's a strategy that helps them find food, having a very, very sensitive sense of smell. And then lastly, like we discussed already, they can see in full color, most of them, just like humans. Let's go to the next page. All right, so this is the definition. Ursidae is their family, the family of mammals that includes bears. Now, the males are called, did you guys see what was on the screen?
Pause.
Boars. Sounds like a pig, eh? The females are called, anybody know?
Pigs.
Similar to pigs, actually. What's a female pig called?
Who knows?
I do, and now you do too.
I don't.
Called
I
sow.
don't.
And we all know what baby bears are called, right?
Cubs. Cubs.
Yes.
Cubs.
Absolutely. All right. They had their teeth. This is interesting, and I wish it was the same with humans. Maybe. We might look funny though. They never stop growing. Okay, their teeth grow from the inside out all the time, especially their front teeth and their canines, their biting teeth, because they need to bite stuff, and their teeth might wear down quite quickly because they're biting hard things like bamboo, like crunching through bones of seals, etc. So they never stop growing. And actually, if you cut through a bear's tooth, you'll see rings like the inside of a tree. And every single year, it makes a new ring. So scientists know how to very, very, very accurately identify how old the bear was when it died, because they can cut through its teeth and they can count the rings and they can see exactly how old it is. That's cool, hey? Do you have a question, Jordan?
Um, everyone knew that the baby bears are called cubs, except
Mm-hmm.
Evan.
Yeah, we should have known that, hey?
Yeah.
All right,
How
so
dare you,
let's talk
Evan?
about hibernation quickly, right? So it's to
Big bear
enter,
covered.
the definition of hibernation is to enter a state of dormancy, which means they're dormant, which means they're inactive to save energy. It's a state that it usually occurs during the harsh, cold months of winter to conserve energy when food is scarce. Exactly like what we discussed a few minutes ago. This means that hibernating animals become inactive and look as if they're in a very deep sleep. It's not the same as when you and I are sleeping. Okay, it's when your body and my body doesn't slow down and almost shut off when we're sleeping. But that's exactly what happens with bears when they're hibernating. The animal's body temperature lowers. You know that we're warm-blooded creatures, us mammals, and making heat consumes energy. So the bears don't want to spend so much energy, so they let their body temperature drop in winter, slowing down its breathing and its heartbeat and its metabolism. You know what metabolism means? Is how it uses energy. Okay? How long a bear hibernates can range from a few days to up to 4, 5, 6 months in the coldest of winter places. Okay, so it all depends on where the bear lives, and some bears don't hibernate because they don't need to, because they've got food all year round. So, does anybody have a favorite bear species?
Panda.
Panda. Ruben's like panda straight away.
Polar bear.
Can
Polar
anybody
bear.
name,
Polar
can
bear and
anybody
panda. Polar
name
bear
the
and
8
panda.
species of bears that we have? I'm gonna open up the chat again. Put in the different
Panda
kinds.
bear.
American black bear, brown bear, giant panda, polar bear, sun bear, and spectacular bear.
My favorite bear is a
Yeah, that's
panda.
Panda.
favorite,
Okay, so we're
my
gonna look.
favorite,
Yeah, go ahead, Joshua.
my favorite bear is the sun bear.
My favorite bear is the grizzly, like the one in the
Yeah.
picture. Hey, the big brown bear. So let's have a learn about. We're gonna learn about
Three
6
favorite.
species. We're gonna learn about 6 species of bears today. All right, we're not gonna learn about the Asian brown bear, and we're not gonna learn about what's the other one that we're not gonna learn about. I forget, but we're gonna get there. Okay. We're gonna start with this one, and this one is the
Brown bear.
brown
Grizzly.
bear, also called the grizzly bear. Okay, so his scientific binomial is Ursus, which means bear, Arctus, which means like Arctic, right? Northern hemisphere, cold forested areas. So you're not going to find these guys in South America. You're not going to find these guys in China, in the southern tropical part of Vietnam and Thailand. Right? These are cold weather bears. I think if you had a built-in warm fur coat like that, you'd also like to live in a cold place, right? Otherwise, you get too hot. They are, they have a very variable diet. They'll eat almost anything they can get their, well, not their hands on, but their paws on,
Mouth.
right?
Oh, boy.
Anything from
I
plants,
know. They're
nuts,
grubby little paws.
grubby little paws, exactly. Nuts, berries, plants, roots, leaves, seeds, bark, all the way to hunting bigger animals like deer and elk and moose and musk ox. So they will eat whatever they can get. Now, a lot of these guys are found in Alaska, and Alaska's got a lot of rivers. And sometimes these bears will go down to the rivers. Why?
To go swim and catch fish.
Catch fish. Right. Every year, what happens is salmon come from the ocean into the rivers to lay their eggs in the rivers. And of course, they need to make their way upstream. And they need to go through some very shallow water, and they will jump over waterfalls. So the bears congregate there to catch these fish. Easy source of food, hey? Imagine if you and I lived there. All we'd have to do is go down to the river, have a big net, and as the fish jumps, just scoop it up with a net. Unfortunately, bears don't have nets, but this is what they do, hey? So they eat a lot of different things. And can you think about it? It's kind of pretty similar to people, right? We eat a lot of different things, right? Some people eat salads, and then later on they'll have a hamburger, and then later on they'll have a piece of bread. Right? We eat a lot of different things. So in that respect, bears and humans are pretty similar. Okay, but remember they're carnivores. They were designed, and if you look at their digestive system, their digestive system has adapted to eat plants, not really designed to eat plants. Which kind of creature is designed to eat a lot of plants? We learned about that.
Pandas.
Pandas.
I'm talking about not bears now. What is like the plant eater that eats the most in the world? What's the most common plant eating mammal? Start with them.
Giraffe. Giraffe.
I'm talking about cows. Remember we spoke about cows and how they've got a four-chambered stomach? Do you remember that? Right, that's to break down a lot of the plant material, the grass. They'll swallow the grass, they'll regurgitate it, they'll chew it again, swallow it again. Bears can't do that. Okay, so they need to eat a lot because their digestive system is not quite as well adapted as a true herbivore, like cows, that's designed to eat grass. Okay, so these bears are found, the brown bears, mostly across the northern hemisphere, but all around the world in the northern hemisphere, not only in one or two places. Most of the northern hemisphere, circling not quite up into the frozen Arctic areas, because of course that's where you find which bear?
Polar bear.
Polar bear.
You'll
Polar
find
bear.
them in some of the same places as a polar bear. The polar bear prefer to live on snow and ice. Okay, let's have a look at a map and see exactly where in the world we find the brown bear. All of those red areas. Interesting, hey?
Wow.
So if you look on the left-hand side of the map, there you've got Alaska, and if you go all the way more to the right, then it comes across into Canada and down into United States of America. And then if you go across the Atlantic, you're going to find some bears, brown bears, all across Europe, into Asia, and then up into Scandinavia and northern Russia, all the way across the top. And if you go down the middle into Central Asia, in winter there it gets ridiculously cold. And there's not too many people living in this place. Okay, but that's where you're going to find a lot of brown bears. Okay, so all across the northern hemisphere, that's where you're going to find them. Do you have a question, Jordan? Jordan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard. This map is kind of wrong because I have a map in my room and it shows all of the countries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But where's Hawaii?
So where is what? Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. This is
Hawaii.
over there.
Because it's just under Alaska.
Hawaii is over here.
I didn't see it.
Can you see what the little hand?
It's a
See where
tiny
the little
dot.
hand
Yeah.
is? The
Yeah, I
tiny
see
little
it
chain of
now.
islands there. Yeah. Remember, this is, Hawaii is
I
quite a
didn't see
small
it.
place, so it's hard to see. They're in the middle of
I
the
know,
Pacific.
but I still
Okay,
saw it.
let's move on to the, what bear is this?
Black
Literally this
bear.
Black bear.
The
American black.
Black
Black
bear.
bear.
Anybody know where you
American
find the black bear? There's only one continent where you find the black bear.
America.
America.
North America.
North, South America. South America.
North
South
America.
America.
North America.
So,
I did it.
he's called,
Told you guys all that it's North America.
okay, so He's
Yes, I
called
did.
Ursus americanus. All right, americanus meaning America, living mostly in forested areas. So you're going to find these guys in forests. So when you're traveling through America and you're in a forested area, always a good chance you're going to find a black bear. Okay, they're much, much smaller than the brown bears. You guys know the brown bears. These grizzlies, they get huge, hey? They get very, very big. These black bears are a bit smaller. They're still a big animal. They're a little bit smaller. They're endemic to North America. That means they are only found there. You're not going to find these guys in South America, Asia, Europe, anything like that. Only in America. And because they're so widely spread, you can find up to 16 subspecies of these guys, which means when you find them in different areas, they're all going to be a little bit different to the others because they're going to be more well adapted to living where they live. Okay, let's have a look where they live. So there's a map of North America, and you can see all the way from the top left, Alaska over there, across throughout Canada, all the way across to the East Coast, and then down into the United States of America in a lot of different places. And as you can see, when you get further down, you can see that the dark pink is where they're living today. The light pink is where they used to be found, and we don't find them anymore. Why do you think you're not going to find the bears where anymore in the areas where they've disappeared from?
They're extinct.
They got extinct. So,
But
People
why?
built there, they had to move.
Okay, so habitat destruction maybe, because people have built cities and farms
no
and things.
food.
What
No
else is
more
going to...
food in
Okay, so
Why don't you
habitat
just get
destruction is also going to take away their food. What else do you think is going to cause a creature to go extinct in a certain area?
Hunting.
Loss of food.
Hunting. Okay, so in a lot of these places, especially around cities, these bears have been hunted or chased away. Okay, so that's one of the main problems facing bears is that people hunt them. Okay, and this is why you're not going to find them in the same areas that they were found long, long time ago. Okay, but you can see they are still very, very populous, which means they're very common still in a lot of areas. And you can still find them all over North America, except really right down the middle. There's a bit of a gap over there. Okay, even into Mexico, where that little cursor hand is, that's Mexico. Below this line over here, that's Mexico. So you find black bears even into Mexico. The next one. Oh, you guys know what this one is, hey?
polar bear. Polar bear.
Bear.
A question for you guys. What color is a polar bear's skin?
Black.
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 Ever, hey? Polar bear's skin is black. Who can tell me why their skin is black?
To absorb sunlight better.
To absorb warmth from the sun. So their hair, it looks white or like a dirty white color. It's actually see-through. Right? Their hair is actually see-through. So it lets the light from the sun go through their hair, shining onto their black skin, which absorbs heat. Interesting, hey? It's a really great adaptation to living in very, very cold places. So it's almost like having like a built-in blanket. So the fur keeps air close to their skin. Doesn't let cold air come close to their skin, but it does let sunlight through to warm them up. I think that's amazing. So let's learn a bit more about them. So they're called Ursus maritimus, which means basically bear of the ocean. Like they call them polar bears, but they might as well call them ocean bears because you find these guys on sea ice along the coast because mainly of what they eat, isn't it? Right? They live in the frozen Arctic. So I'm going to show you a map in a second, but it's not quite the map that you're used to seeing. We'll get there. They are very closely related to the brown bear, and they can actually interbreed. So you might find where their ranges overlap, you might find brown bears and polar bears interbreeding, and then you get this hybrid bear. They are the largest bear and the largest land carnivore in the world, weighing up to 800 kilograms. That's as big as a small. Okay. Yeah, who's got a question?
Big. I heard that a grizzly bear and a polar bear once came to a relationship with each other, and then they got crossed. And then there was a bear, and it's called a growler bear. It's what you get when you mix a polar bear with a grizzly bear.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was just talking about. Yeah. So you get these things. What do they call it? A growler bear, eh? A polar bear and a grizzly bear mixed. Yeah, absolutely. So it can happen. Right?
Nick,
Go ahead.
what is the name of the polar bear and the grizzly bear?
So if you have a polar bear, grizzly bear, some people call them a growler bear, like a GR for grizzly and a ola or owler for polar bear. So you got a growler bear or a growler bear. Yeah.
So
Okay.
what is like the real name, the original name?
It doesn't have one because it's two different species, right? So it's not making a new
Yeah.
species. It's just like a hybrid, which means like a combination of the two. Okay, so
It's actually beautiful.
yeah, they're cool, hey? But they're closely
Yeah.
related. So they're very similar, actually. You know, a polar bear and a panda bear can't have babies. It's just not going to work. Okay,
Yeah.
but a polar bear and a grizzly bear can have babies because they're very, very, very similar. Okay, these guys are mostly carnivorous. They're mostly the meat eaters, and their main diet is seals. This is what they want to eat all day, all night. They want to eat seals. They'll also eat walruses if they can catch them, and even small whales. Now, imagine you're a small whale and you're living in the Arctic where there's lots of ice. You might be underneath the ice. You might only find one or two small holes where you can breathe. Polar bears know this. So they'll be waiting at holes in the ice for things like seals and walruses and whales to pop up, and then the polar bears can grab them and eat them. It's a crazy hunting strategy, don't you think? Oh, I'm just going to go wait at this hole and see what arrives, and then grab it and eat it, you know? So very, very interesting. These ones cannot see in full color. They have the eyesight, the color vision of an animal like a dog. They can only really see in two colors. So everything they see is kind of like a shade of gray. They don't need to see full color. They don't need to see if something is yellow or green, right? They're not eating fruit. They're looking mainly for movement. And because they are hunters, they are also sometimes nocturnal. So they'll hunt during the night, and there they want to be able to see movement rather than color. But you can't see a lot of color in the evenings when it's dark, right? Okay. Interestingly, their kidneys are adapted to get rid of salt because the creatures that they eat are saltwater creatures, things like seals. And they live basically on sea ice. So they could, drink seawater because it's the only liquid water around. Any fresh water will be frozen solid. But then, of course, they would have too much salt in their body. So their kidneys are adapted to get rid of salt. Can anyone think of any other creatures that are adapted to get rid of extra salt?
Fish.
Our fish can absolutely, especially if they are marine fish, like living in seawater. Any other non-underwater animals that you can think of?
Penguin.
Penguins and other seabirds, absolutely. Right, remember they have glands on top of their eyes and that lead out to their nostrils to get rid of extra salt. They're called supraorbital glands. Okay, so yeah, absolutely, they can get rid of extra salt. Very, very clever adaptation. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to live there. There would just be too much salt in their bodies. Now, I'm going to show you that really cool, interesting map so you can see exactly where polar bears live in the world. Do you find them in the South Pole?
No.
Some people are nodding, some people say no. Well, let's have a look.
Yeah.
No.
So this,
I know
North Pole.
another
Okay.
creature that lives only in salt water but can go on land. A seal.
Yeah, say that again, Joshua.
Seal.
Yeah, so they live in they eat seals, and also, I mean, they live in salt water, right? They don't go to fresh water. They also have to be able to get rid of the salt. But look at the map, guys. This is basically taken. If this was a photograph, it would be taken right at the top of the world from space, looking over the North Pole. This, where all these lines come together, this is. Oops, let's just go back there. This is the North Pole underneath my cursor, and all those straight lines all intersect on the North Pole. Can you see there's no land up there? Right, the North Pole is covered by ocean. There's no land. It's weird, eh? Don't know if you ever thought about that before. And then you have all the land around it. So let's start on over here on the left. This is Greenland. Around here, this is Canada. And then Alaska. And then I'm here into Russia and Siberia on the top. Interesting, hey? Okay, so this is a different view of planet Earth, isn't it? Very different.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where you find polar
Wow.
bears all around the top of the world. Very cool. All right, you guys saw uh, the next bear species, which is the
Panda.
And
aha, absolutely. All right, let's learn more about him. His scientific binomial, or his scientific name is Ailuropoda melanoluca. So melanoluca means black and white. So he's basically a black and white bear. Endemic to China. You don't find these bears anywhere else in the world. Only in a very, very small area, actually, in China. You don't find them all over China. They eat mainly bamboo. 99.5% of what they eat is bamboo. Bamboo shoots, bamboo leaves, just bamboo. Now, because it needs to hold these bamboo sticks and eat them. So on its front paws, it's got like a little bony appendage that it uses like a thumb to grab hold of the bamboo and eat it. Okay. It eats up to 14 kilograms of bamboo every single day. That's a lot. So all this guy does is he sits in the bamboo forest and he eats bamboo all day long. He has a very funny fact I thought you guys might appreciate.
Hey,
Read the last one. Giant pandas poop up to 40 times a day. Isn't that funny?